Northrend Beasts. You'll first face Gormok the Impaler. The tank mechanic is Impale. If you haven't killed the boss by the 4th Impale, you might want to consider taunt swapping. Range and healer should stay more than 15 yards away to not get interrupted by his staggering stomp. There will be fire patches on the ground, just dodge these. Random players will get a Kobold on them, bring it into melee, and these adds need to be focused down. After defeating Gormok, Acid Maw and Dreadscale will enter the fight. At the start, Dreadscale will be mobile and Acid Maw will be stationary. One tank on each and face them away from the raid. The bosses switch positions every 45 seconds. Your range and healers want to be spread. There will be slime pools on the ground. These need to be dodged and the boss dragged away from them. The mobile worm will affect the tank with a debuff, and the stationary worm will affect the players in the raid with another debuff. When the stationary worm, which at the beginning of the fight is Acid Maw, affects the raid with this, they must run through the tank to clear their debuff. There might also be times where the tanks need to run through each other, so be aware of this or else one of the tanks will be stunned for a long time. They will also use Sweep, knocking players back. These two worms are the most difficult out of the Northrend Beasts, so using Hero or Bloodlust here is a good idea. The burn strategy is to all focus one worm with Hero or Bloodlust and try to kill it before 45 seconds into the fight. When one worm dies, the other one does do increased damage. When the worms die, Icehowl enters the encounter. He'll hit his current tank with Ferocious Butt. Taunt swap on this. He'll also cast Whirl, which knocks back anyone within 15 yards of him. His hitbox is actually pretty big, so melee can outrange his Whirl while still attacking him. Every 20 seconds, he will face a random player and cast Arctic Breath, stunning those players for 5 seconds. So just be aware of that. Then after 30 seconds, Icehowl will leap into the center and hit everyone with Massive Crash, knocking them back to the edge of the room. Healers make sure everyone is healed up before this. He'll pick a random player and run in that direction towards the wall. It's very important that this player moves and Icehowl runs into the wall. Once he does, he will take double damage for 15 seconds. Lord Jaraxxus. He casts fireballs every 10 seconds, just interrupt this. Range and heals should spread out for Fell Lightning. A random player will get Legion Flame on them. They just need to run away from the raid. A random player will also get Incinerate Flesh. These players need to receive 85,000 healing within 15 seconds. If they don't, it does raid damage. He'll also buff himself with Nether Power. Mages just spell steal this. In addition to those mechanics, he'll spawn Nether Portals that spawn Mistresses of Pain. Kill these portals and the mistresses, and also volcanoes that spawn infernals. Kill the volcanoes and the infernals. Faction Champions. On 10-man you'll face 6, and on 25-man you'll face 10, Alliance or Horde champions depending on your faction. As this is a PvP themed fight, all enemy players do have PvP trinkets that they can use every 2 minutes. So getting that on cooldown using an intimidating shout or something similar is a good idea. Focus one healer with the others being CC'd, the melee of the group do a lot of AoE damage. After taking care of the healers, it's a good idea to CC the Hunter and Warlock while picking off the melee. The Rogue does the most damage of the bunch, then the Hunter is a close second, the Enhancement Shaman or Warrior, then the Warlock, the DK and Ret Pally can easily be kited around, and then the Shadow Priest. The Mage does low damage, and then the Balanced Druid does pretty much nothing besides Cyclone people. Twin Valkyr. There's a couple of ways to do this boss. We had our entire raid click the dark portal, but have 3 DPS to click on the light portal. The raid stacked on a light portal with the 3 ranged DPS who had the light portal buff were outside, sort of surrounding the raid. Players who click the light portal should fight the Dark Valkyr, and players who click the dark portal should fight the light Valkyr, and make sure they're stacked for easy cleave. If you attack the correct Valkyr, you'll do double damage. There will be light and dark orbs floating around the encounter. You do not want to take the opposite orb, as this will hurt the raid. Run into orbs of the portal you clicked on. Light picks up light orb, dark picks up dark orbs. You will power up, and at 100 stacks you'll get 20% mana back and do 100% increased damage for 20 seconds. Every 45 seconds the Valkyrs will cast a big ability. One of them will get a shield while casting Twins Pact for 15 seconds. This cast gets off, they get healed. Your DPS need to take out the shield to interrupt the cast. All of your DPS clicking the correct portal to do double damage to that Valkyr will make it much easier to break the shield. In addition to this, one of them will cast either a Light Vortex or Dark Vortex and deal massive raid damage. Before this goes off, if Light Vortex is being cast, your raid should click the Light portal, and if Dark Vortex is being cast, the raid should click the Dark portal to take reduced damage. Also, random players will get either Touch of Light or Touch of Darkness. You'll get the opposite one of the element you currently have, which will make it do more damage. You can swap elements to make it do less damage, but it honestly doesn't do a whole lot of damage. Anub'arak. Phase 1 is the emerged phase, which lasts 80 seconds. The fight should start with 2 DKs gripping and killing an ice sphere on each side of him to spawn ice patches. Tank him where he is. Every 20 to 30 seconds he hits his tank with a freezing slash, stunning them for 3 seconds. Every 20 seconds in the fight, random players will get penetrating cold for 18 seconds. Then new players will get it. Healers need to watch for who has these and spot heal them. Every 45 seconds he will spawn 4 Nerubian Burrower adds. Group 2 adds each on either side of him to be cleaved down. These two groups need to be tanked more than 12 yards from each other or they'll buff each other. They also need to be tanked on the permafrost patches so they don't submerge. Every 30 seconds they'll cast a Shadow Strike on a random raid member, teleporting to them. They need to be interrupted with stuns when this happens. After 80 seconds, phase 2 happens, which is the submerged phase where Anub'arak will be submerged and unattackable. Giant spikes will chase a random player. They need to be kited through the permafrost patches. Keep in mind, you'll only have 6 total ice spheres to work with for the encounter. During this phase, swarm scarabs spawn that need to be kited around and killed. They leave a nasty dot on players if they melee them. After 65 seconds, you'll go back to the emerge phase and you repeat. Phase 3 is when Anub'arak reaches 30% health. During this phase, Anub'arak will do a lot of the same abilities as phase 1, like the freezing slash, penetrating cold, and Nerubian Burrower adds. In addition, he'll cast Leeching Swarm, which drains 30% of all raid members' health and converts it to boss health, so healers don't go crazy with healing. Healing reductions like aim shots, mortal strike, and wound poison are required. Hero or Bloodlust should be used here, and it's a race to beat his healing. And this is the entire Trial of the Grand Crusader raid.